Okay, everyone, let's join the 9th edition speculation bandwagon. Right after this, quick intro. Okay, what a crazy week we've already had. The drop of 9th edition came, as, not really a big surprise, but the amount of information I think is certainly a big surprise. I personally thought this edition was probably going to come around September just because of the virus, but certainly turns out that's not going to be the case, and we're probably going to get this 9th edition, probably, the first week of July is my guess, because they still have to get Engine of War out, which will be out in 2 weeks, and they also have to get Pariah out. But once that happens, it's going to be on. 9th edition is going to be on top of us. So we have probably about a month of leaks, speculation, and all that good stuff. So what I really want to have this video talk about mostly is the implications of the rules, not so much, this is the rumor that we hear, or this is what we already know about, which is what most of these YouTube videos are doing, is just basically reiterating what GW said, but with cool Warhammer 40k background. So what we know so far, I think is pretty dramatic. It doesn't feel like 8.5, which everyone keeps on talking about. It's starting to feel like it's really its own edition, that 9th edition is going to be an edition where a lot of changes are going to happen that we won't see until we actually start getting to play games, which for a lot of us, we don't know when that's actually going to happen either. So the context in which I want to talk about these big changes to 9th edition is in the context of what units and what play styles are going to become more prominent as I see currently with what we have. And I'm sure we're going to get a couple twists and turns around the bend which might change this. I don't mind eating crow, and this video could become obsolete within an hour of being posted. So take that into account when I talk about this. But as it stands now, it really looks like elite units and elite armies are going to dominate right out of the gate. And that's from the simple fact that we now have CP based on size of game. No longer is it based on the combination of detachments. This means that all armies will be starting on an equal footing, because if you're playing a 2,000 point game, let's just say by example, everyone starts with 15 CP each. That's huge. So no matter what combination of units I take, and that's even if we consider that the detachments that we currently have are not changing, I could just spam 3 spearhead detachments, taking the best possible units I want and dominating the game. So I see that we're going to have units that were kind of really good at the tail end of 8th edition continue to dominate. I'm looking at you, Grey Knight Paladins. And if ITC missions and chapter approved missions are not that much different from what they currently are, that is going to be what's going to happen. We're going to have units like Grey Knight Paladins continue to dominate games. And that's a really kind of dangerous prospect. It's actually going to mean that we're going to have less list diversification. And I know even in the Q&A they were talking about, you could take a Deathwing army and have fun. But even then, we had Stu Blackman being like, you're still going to probably lose, ha 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 ha. So while the new system will free you up to take whatever you want, in competitive play, people are still going to just focus on the best units in the best possible situations to win you the game. And that's where elite units and elite armies will dominate. We could see, Custodes making a big comeback. Thousand Sons really could dominate. Just a combination of Scarab Terminators with Demon Princes might just be enough to win you whatever you need to win. Knights might be ridiculous, because now you play a 2,000 point game. I don't need to take the loyal whatever number you want to pick faction. I can just take 3 knights and just obliterate hordes, obliterate elites, do whatever I need to win the game. So it's quite dangerous, and I'm not sure what the fixes are going to be to mitigate that. So we'll have to see. Now, one possible way Games Workshop and the designers could have foresaw this possibility is by designing the missions in such a way that they don't appeal to elite armies, or it doesn't appeal to having just you spam the 3 best units in the game and win. Maybe it's about taking one of the best units in the game and then taking a bunch of MSU, highly mobile units that can dominate the board and gain objectives depending on how those objectives are scored. So what I'm talking about is return to kind of an old 5th edition Grey Hunters, Grey Knight Strike Squad system where you had a bunch of 5-man units just dominating the board. And if you think about it, the rules changes to hordes, this makes sense. If tanks are going to be able to blow up hordes in one round of shooting, that sort of thing with the blast new keyword, then you're going to want to take the minimum squad units in order to flood the board, maybe block out elite units and score objectives as you go. So that could be the combination we're heading to, is if things are balanced to a good enough extent, you could see you taking one dominating elite unit, a bunch of small scoring units, and then maybe some tanks and some sort of indirect fire as your backup to pepper any other type of units or armies that you might face. But this is all going to be based on, how missions are developed, how they actually end up becoming, more importantly, how terrain is going to be used. Now, I have to say, I am not too excited about these terrain rules or the hype that they're getting. They seem to be really focused on this as if everyone's going to love these terrain rules, and I'm just not sold. I've been through every single edition of the game, and terrain has always been a chore in the sense that people don't want to deal with it. It's an extra layer of rules you have to decide before the game on what's going to happen with ruins and all that stuff. And while everyone was like, oh, 8th edition, I hate the terrain rules, they're terrible, you know what? It made for a quicker game, honestly. And while they may be terrible, they at least, were pretty clear in the sense of a ruin gave you a cover save, end all be all. Now, it is great that they are going to clear up line of sight, and the rule returning obscure back to our lexicon is a great choice, and I'm really happy with that. It's going to really clear up just the little gamey parts of the game, and that's totally fine. But if we're going to add Sigmar style, every piece of ruin does some random effect or does some random bonus, you're going to have a lot of feel badsy situations where people that might have gotten even the dominant, didn't matter what the setup was, we're going to lose. They might feel really bad. They felt they lose because the terrain setup. And especially when you combo this on with the reserve system that we're going to get, which also, I have to admit, sounds really cool. I love the idea of spending CP points to put things in reserve, have them come in different spots of the board. That's all fantastic. But if I can just bring whatever hammer unit I want, hide it immediately, and then get into my enemy's lines without any retaliation, that's really bad game design. So I'm praying that the mission combination, the terrain combination will be simple enough that everyone wants to pick it up and everyone wants to do it, and not complicated enough where it's just, I don't want to spend a half an hour deciding on what my board's going to look like, and what if I don't have the right terrain in order to accomplish this. And even the developers said that, oh, we're going to give you some pictures of what we want a board to look like. Now that sounds very, very Nova Open to me, very, very Mike Brandt. If you're not familiar with Nova Open, he would have a giant mission packet where the missions were good and they were cool, but at the same time you had to go through this minutia of this is how the boards are balanced, all this junk. So it doesn't really conducive to kind of a freer play. If I'm playing at a game store and they don't have the good terrain, then you're going to have a totally different game experience than what the standard Games Workshop that they're trying to promote. And this goes even a little deeper. We don't know exactly how missions are implemented. We don't know if the ITC and ETC and all the big mission groups that make missions that most people play are going to say, hey, we are going to play these GW missions, and that's the way it is. Now, I'm hoping, just from a standpoint of, I like my friends at the ITC not to have to struggle and get flamed, that GW does take responsibility for missions and says, hey, if you don't run these missions, you're not an official Games Workshop event or whatever they want to call it, to give incentive for people to play the book missions. Even if they are terrible book missions, guess what? It's easier to complain about Games Workshop making terrible rules than it is about attacking individuals that are not getting any money out of making these ITC missions or ETC missions. They're just simply putting them out for the community to enjoy. I'd rather put the target on and the onus on Games Workshop to change their rules, to change their missions, and make a kind of universal standard which everyone plays by. So we'll have to wait and see on that. But the one final thing I really want to talk about is what happened 24 hours ago. And that is the release of basically the executioner model. Now, it's a Judiciar, Judiciar, I don't know. There's been a debate on how his spelling is going, because Games Workshop said one thing, but the leaked image of his rules said another thing. But anyway, long story short, we got a release of our first unit from, looks like, the starter set. And there is crazy rampant speculation with that, which I'm sure a lot of blog posts are talking about and videos are going over, but we don't know. There's this keyword term firstborn, which I'm hoping means Necrons, but everyone is going crazy thinking it means old school Marines. So Who knows what that means? Maybe we're going to actually get the long joked rumor about the Space Marine Civil War a la Avengers. So I hope that's not the case, because that's a terrible way to Legends out Tactical Marines and all the other old Marines out. So I'm hoping that's not the case, but as it speaks, that is a possibility out there. Hopefully Games Workshop will clarify that. I'm guessing they mean Firstborn is the keyword for Necrons, so let's hope it's that. And one other final thing about that leak, he's a 5 model wound, single model, and there was no sign of the keyword character. So I have a feeling that the hammer is going to drop on characters. Games Workshop repeatedly said in the Q&A and in blog posts that they wanted to get rid of the gamey aspects of the game. And certainly the character keyword is one of the most gamey things of the game that makes no cinematic sense on the tabletop. So I have a feeling that character rule might be gone or completely changed. Probably completely changed, because you can't just have your poor Imperial Guard advisor sitting out in the middle of the board getting one-shot by a bolter. So we'll see. But anyway, thanks for watching this video. I did basically a blog post for this for Blood of Kittens, so if you do want to go and read that, it will be linked in the description below. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe. That's all I got. Let's see what more speculation we'll get next week, guys. Take care.